Hey everyone. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the content and finding it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support really does mean so much because it lets us keep sharing vital updates that could affect your financial future, your retirement plans, and even your family's long-term security. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Siren, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here with me today because what we're talking about is one of the biggest shakeups to the UK pension landscape in years, and it's going to affect far more people than most realize. Big changes are coming to UK pensions, and one of the most dramatic involves inheritance tax. Starting April 6, 2027, unspent private pension savings will officially be considered part of a person's estate when they pass away. This means that for the first time, around 10,500 estates will face new inheritance tax liabilities they didn't have before. And it doesn't stop there. Nearly 38,500 estates that were already paying inheritance tax could see their bills rise by an average of £34,000. That's not a typo. Families who aren't prepared for this change could face a financial shock during one of the most difficult moments of their lives. Right in the middle of dealing with probate and grief, executors are now going to carry an even heavier responsibility. If they don't complete the new inheritance tax forms and pension disclosures within 6 months of death, HMRC can hit them with penalties starting at £100 and rising to as much as £3,200. And that's just the penalty before the actual tax bill. Families will now have to track down every pension account, verify balances, calculate the tax liability, and handle extra paperwork during what is already an emotionally and logistically challenging period. Some financial advisors are calling this the most stressful pension-related change in decades because it shifts so much burden onto bereaved families who may not even know all the deceased person's pension details. But there's a twist that's already starting to ripple through the retirement community. This policy is expected to drive behavioral change, and we're already seeing signs of a pension migration. High net worth retirees who have the flexibility and resources to relocate are actively looking at moving abroad to avoid the UK's stricter inheritance tax regime. Portugal, with its historically favorable tax treatment for foreign pensioners, is quickly emerging as a preferred destination. Spain, Italy, and even certain parts of Eastern Europe are on the radar too. If this trend continues, we could see the start of a quiet pensioner exodus where wealthier retirees take their spending power and assets overseas. If that happens, the UK could face a new challenge: how to retain its most financially secure pensioners while implementing stricter domestic tax policies. This inheritance tax change is just one part of a much wider pension shift. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has now launched a full-scale review of the UK pension framework, one of the most ambitious overhauls we've seen in decades. She's tackling the problem from multiple angles: the pressure of the triple lock on public finances, the challenge of rising life expectancy, and the question of whether younger generations are saving enough to secure a dignified retirement. One of the proposals on the table is raising the state pension age even further. Current projections already suggest a rise to 69 by 2049, and some scenarios go as far as 74 by 2069. Imagine that for a moment. A whole generation of younger workers could find themselves waiting years longer to access their state pension. That's not just a policy change, it reshapes life planning. It means rethinking career trajectories, saving strategies, and even health planning. Because working into your late 60s or 70s is no small task, especially for those in physically demanding jobs. And it's not just about age. The funding side is under review as well. Reeves is exploring whether minimum auto-enrollment contributions should rise from the current 8% to 12%. That would significantly boost retirement savings for future pensioners, but it would also reduce take-home pay for millions of workers, something that will be particularly challenging in the midst of a cost of living crisis. The government is also considering expanding auto enrollment to include workers under 22 and more low-paid part-timers who have historically missed out on meaningful pension savings. These changes are designed to create a more inclusive system, but they'll come with trade-offs that every household will feel at the same time. The Treasury is exploring new ideas to make pensions more flexible and useful during a saver's lifetime. One proposal is the creation of sidecar savings accounts, which would combine short-term emergency savings with long-term pension contributions. Another idea on the table is allowing savers to use a portion of their pension to buy a first home, a move that could be life-changing for younger people struggling to save for a deposit. And there's a renewed push to address the gender pensions gap, which still sits at an alarming 48%. These proposals are aimed at modernizing the pension system for a workforce that looks very different from the one that existed when the current model was designed. All of this is happening alongside the return of the Pensions Commission, originally established in 2006. This independent body is being revived to take a long-term, strategic look at how to secure the UK's retirement system, while the triple lock and pension age are being handled through separate reviews. Everything else is on the table, from contribution rates and coverage rules to how pension funds are invested. The final recommendations are expected in 2027, and experts believe this could be the UK's last, best chance to fix a system that is showing its cracks. The urgency is real. Recent forecasts show that people retiring around 2050 could receive £800 less per year from private pensions than today's retirees. Over a 20-year retirement, that's a loss of around £16,000, enough to change the quality of someone's later life. The International Monetary Fund has also weighed in, suggesting that the UK may need to reform or even scrap the triple lock to keep the system fiscally sustainable. Their recommendation? Link pensions to cost of living increases only, removing the wage growth element. But if that happens, pensions might lag behind earnings growth over time, and pensioners could slowly fall behind economically. There's also a parallel discussion about how pension funds should invest. The government is encouraging schemes to allocate at least 5% of their portfolios to UK private markets by 2030 to stimulate the domestic economy. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey has pushed back against making this mandatory, but many major schemes are voluntarily moving in that direction. For individual savers, this could mean pension pots become slightly more exposed to market volatility, but also better positioned to capture long-term returns. The trend toward global diversification continues, with the Office for Budget Responsibility projecting that pension fund holdings in UK government bonds will fall from 30% of GDP in 2025 to just 11% by 2074. This shift reflects a search for better performance beyond the traditional low-yield assets that once dominated pension portfolios. If you're already retired, much of this change may feel distant or academic, but there is some good news for current pensioners. Inflation is easing. Many private pensions have outperformed conservative forecasts, and some councils are even introducing local support schemes, including transport discounts, heating aid, and cost of living bonuses. Pension providers like Aviva are also innovating, with products that combine flexible early drawdowns with guaranteed later life income, helping retirees respond to inflation and unexpected expenses. And initiatives like Scotland's pilot program, offering free financial advice sessions for retirees, are helping people make smarter decisions with the assets they already have. So what should you do right now? If you're under 50, this is the moment to take action. Review your national insurance contributions to ensure you'll qualify for the maximum state pension. Track down any old workplace pensions. You'd be surprised how many people lose track of thousands of pounds over the years. Consider increasing your savings rate, even if it's just by a small amount, because compounding over decades is powerful. Use the official government pension calculators to get a clear picture of your future income. And if you're dealing with larger estates or complex finances, speak with a trusted financial advisor about inheritance planning before the 2027 changes arrive. Most importantly, don't panic, prepare. The pension system is changing, but those who stay informed and adapt will have the best chance of retiring with dignity and security. The story of UK pensions is still being written, and the choices we make now, both individually and as a society, will determine whether tomorrow's pensioners can enjoy the retirement they've worked so hard for.